There it goes. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. I'm Kelsey, resident artist and creator of The Legend of Jamie Roberts, as well as Kay the Valkyrie, a new print that is being crowdfunded on Kickstarter right now. I am joined by my co-host, Ben. On my screen, it's on my left. So I don't know how it's set up on your screen, my dude. But
on my screen, it's on the right. That is, well, I'm to your left, which
yes. Okay.
Now I'm confused.
Directions. Who needs directions when you're an artist?
Well, I run an anthology, so lots of artists need directions.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, Jessica made it. Good to see you again, Jessica.
Yay!
Yay! It's good to be back to live streaming. I hadn't done a live stream in a long while.
I know what you mean. I did my first art live stream in ages a couple weeks ago for GhostCon, and it just feels good to get back to it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I hadn't done mine because of quote unquote day job reasons, but now I'm back to freelancing full time and making art full time, so that's nice.
Exciting.
Yeah, I wanted to do today's live stream to highlight one of the new pieces that has been finished that is now on Kickstarter to get funding to be made into a print. It's a piece that I call Kay the Valkyrie. Give me just a sec to boot it up on Clip Studio Paint so that I can show off all of its beautiful, beautiful glory.
You were telling me before this started that you actually are thinking about doing kind of a story or world building through prints with this character, right?
Yes, because I've done some world building and character building through Dungeons and Dragons, because this character is actually a NPC that my current D&D campaign players are interacting with. And I'll get into that in just a sec.
Actually, looking at the design, my first thought was Aasimar.
Yes. So their race is they're half Aasimar, half dark elf.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do a little bit of home brewing and patching. I know that there are people out there on Twitter, love you folks for playing with lineages in Dungeons and Dragons and doing your own homebrew thing to be like, oh, do you want to play a half Aasimar, half Drow? Here's how you do that. Do you want to play a half orc, half dragonborn? Here's how you can do that. Like, there is somebody that put together a PDF to make that happen. I have not checked it out yet. So I just built this myself.
It's also worth acknowledging that that's actually the direction Wizards is moving to.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Pathfinder has a good system for that. That's all ancestries is what they call it. And they've been moving away from the concept of the fantasy race in the same sense, which it's been such a difficult thing to try and figure out how to deal with. And I'm glad they're finally...
Yeah. I'm glad that they are addressing it at least.
Cynthia in the chat says, "You're alive!"
Yay, Cynthia!
But they're actually figuring out like
Hold on one sec. I gotta there we go. I keep my tablet in my drawer of my stand-up desk, but at the height that is most comfortable for me for this thing, it like juxtaposes with my drafting table, so I can't open the drawer completely. So I have to like elevate, de-escalate.
Right. It's actually really convenient because there's a setting I've been messing around with. It's basically fantasy Western. It's what my story from Lesson Secret was.
Yes.
And one of the concepts I have in there is the Silrook, which is basically half elf, half orc.
Ooh.
And it's discriminated against group. Basically, they're pretty rare because elves and orcs in this setting don't get along. Big surprise. And if a Silrook happens to be produced, very good chance one side or the other will kill them. So if they live to adulthood, it's a big deal. But I was custom brewing back when they were called races, I was custom brewing the race. And I couldn't come up with a good way to do it. The Pathfinder system is great for that because you just kind of pick one and say, oh, and you also have the trait like half elf lineage along with an orc ancestry or vice versa. And like you can really easily do that mechanically. And it's really made a lot of that kind of stuff work better.
Okay. Tablet doesn't seem to want to work. So let's just talk generally about Kay the Valkyrie here and how it is that I tackled their kind of homebrewy race. So what I did, as soon as I get the screen share back up again, because I want to show off some of the details of this art, man.
Shift S.
Yeah, well, I'm really pleased with the lighting effects in particular. So the
lighting is very good.
Yes. The way I did that was I did a layer that I just called glow. And I had it set to normal over here on the right. Because I know that there's like layer settings for screen or glow. I did not do that. But what I did was I just had a separate layer called glow, but the setting for it is normal. And the colors that I picked for it were like a pale gold, almost white, and airbrushed over the wings.
Oh, that's how you did that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
You mentioned using glow. I've been having a problem with using the layer effects in Clip Studio. I originally came from using Photoshop. And one of the things I've noticed is like the multiply layers and stuff like that. If you have things grouped in folders, they don't always work with every layer. Have you had that problem?
Depending on how you group the layers together, yes, it can have some effects. Because the folders themselves have their own settings that you can apply that applies to all of the layers inside of that folder. So, for example, this is slowly becoming a little tutorial video, and that's like it. But with Valkyrie over here, because I have an entire folder just for the Valkyrie and a folder for the background, because for folks who watch my channel regularly, I did a live stream where I worked on just the Valkyrie and the background was separate. So I can turn the background folder off and it's just white. But I can turn it back on and get the color back in there. The Valkyrie themselves are their own folder, but inside of that folder, the layers are different settings. I have one that's normal, another layer that's 35% multiply, and one layer, well, there's one layer that I have at 100% hard light that I turned off because I didn't like how hard light looked. The actual color flats themselves are actually at 90% because at 100%, the tone of the skin and the tone of the dress kind of blended together. So I wanted the colors to be more distinct. So I just set that to 90 and did it that way. But yeah, each layer inside of this folder, you can set it to different qualifications, but the folder itself is normal. But if I wanted to change the entire folder to say multiply, you can do that too. But I'm going to change that back to normal because that's how the final art looks.
Right. I think that it actually helps me figure out how you use these folders for organization a little better because it's a little different from Photoshop, which is always the problem when you start learning another program.
When I was working at Neverending, which I do not anymore, but when I was working at Neverending, Clip Studio Paint was the program that everybody on the art team used. And there was one artist on the team who was, I will freely admit, way more proficient at Clip Studio than I was. So he showed me how the folder system worked.
Yeah. That's always the trick. Find someone who knows it better than you.
Yeah.
I still use some of your tricks. Like I use the, I've started using the trick where you do a border around a vector art thing. All the time. Like that's how I do my text bubbles now. Or not text bubbles, like like sound effects and things like that.
Oh yeah, it makes really good quality for sound effects. If you have no idea what we're talking about, I did an entire live stream of Clip Studio Paint tips and tricks, and you can check that out on my channel. Link down below.
Speaking of links down below, I assume there is a link to the Kickstarter we're talking about, right?
Yes, and I made a little handy dandy banner, so you can check it out at tinyurl.com/KS Valkyrie. That is where you can go to check out this art that I have highlighted on the screen, because it's on Kickstarter right now so that you can pre-order prints. The print size for this is actually an unusual size. It's going to be 11 by 6. That's just how the final art turned out. It was not sized to go any larger because the original file is not larger than that. But 11 by 6. 6.5 ish, round about there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was having trouble visualizing that at first. I'm like, wait, really?
Yeah, it's long. It's wider than it is tall.
I know why it threw me, actually, because in my head I was thinking of 11 by 17, so I pictured 17 by 6, and I'm like, this isn't that narrow.
No. Like, it is narrow, but it's not that narrow.
Yeah. And your Kickstarter actually has been funded, but now you're just making it bigger, right? Like you're trying.
Yes. And originally I wasn't going to do stretch goals, but I've decided I'm going to do stretch goals. Instead of monetary-based stretch goals, though, I'm going to do a kind of repeat of what I did with The Legend of Jamie Roberts Volume 1. I'm going to have stretch goals based on number of backers. So right now, last I checked.
I'm keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, last I checked, we had 8 backers, and we've raised about 228 towards the project. Mm-hmm. If we make it to 10 backers, then everybody who backs the project will get pins added to their reward packages. I have the pins in question. Let me get those.
Go bring them. In the meantime, if there are 2 people in the chat, get on that already. If you haven't already. I'm guessing people who've talked in the chat are Jessica and Cynthia, and I bet both of you have already done it. So you're good.
Probably. But
that's not shame. Anyway,
we do not shame our audience, Ben.
We do not shame our audience. No shaming.
No, but like buttons, if we do make it to 10 backers, then everybody who backs the project will get buttons like RAR and buttons like Billy Velocity. And in case you're wondering, yes, these are originally from other Kickstarter campaigns. These were rewards from other Kickstarter campaigns. I just have extras of these.
Wow, that's actually really helpful.
Yes.
Now I think about that.
Yeah, I also
as somebody who's just dealt with a lot of Kickstarter stuff, that's great.
I also have Jeff Yeah. I love Jeff Yeah. It's kind of an inside joke, but like it's not that hard. But the way this came about was I would try to self-censor in text messages and be like F yeah, but then autocorrect would make it Jeff Yeah. And I'm like, that's a good catchphrase.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I love it. So I just kept it. I got so many other button designs. I got like a magic staff. This is from Tiny Unicorn, which is a webcomic project that I'm still doing with my buddy CB. Some of these buttons are also from Validation, the webcomic that I did with CB. Like I got Roxy here. Zoom in there. There we go. Yeah. Got Roxy.
Yep.
And there's also there's other characters in here too, but I have a lot. I have so many. Like they're all the size of roughly a quarter. So if we make it to 10 backers for this Kickstarter, everybody's going to get at least 5 in their reward bundles.
What are the potential rewards for pledges? I see it looks like there are 2 levels.
There's 2 levels. The trick is the add-ons, because I have a lot of add-ons available for people to choose from. The 2 base rewards are you can pledge $1 and that gets you backer exclusive posts on Kickstarter and behind the scenes looks. The second reward is the print itself, which the print is going to be matte print because that's the paper that I have on hand immediately. That's really neat regarding Jeff. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I love that little backstory and I love it so much. Those are the two base rewards for this campaign. The add-ons, though, I have a lot of add-ons available. Add-ons like you can pay a little. Hi, Mariah. My cousin Mariah made it. There are so many amazing add-ons. Thank you for the plug. Yes, the add-ons include you can pay a little extra to make the print glossy. So I do have some gloss paper on hand to make that happen. You can also get a mystery grab bag. I have so many of these. If you're broke, share this link with your friends. Please do. Every bit of word of mouth helps more than you think.
It really does.
Yeah, I got so many mystery grab bags, like so many. Look at these, like all the grab bags, and each grab bag has some buttons, like these sorts of buttons. They also have at least one mini comic, one mini print, and I think one sticker. It's been a while since I assembled these, so it's a mystery for everybody.
It's like, what did I put in these things again?
I don't know. It's been a while.
What?
I just said it's been a while. I didn't know if you heard me.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Sorry, I'm checking my TikToks.
It's all good.
How to identify a critter. Anyway.
I know. We have so many catchphrases now. Oh, another add-on that's available. You can get the Dragon Baby sticker sheet. You could get an entire sticker sheet full of dragon babies. They are adorable, and I love them. In case it's not clear, a lot of the add-ons were rewards from previous Kickstarter campaigns and or things that I would take with me to comic conventions. Because comic convention season didn't really happen this year, I'm sitting on a lot of extra stuff. So yeah, there's those. I also have the Sketchbook Bundle, which is one copy each of Witches, the Sketchbook, Gods and Spirits, the Sketchbook, and Dragons, the Sketchbook.
I actually don't think I have dragons. I have the other two.
Ooh.
Yeah, we might need to talk.
Might need to talk, yeah. I also have book bundles for the Charlie and Clow adventures, like a Charlie and Clow, the first one. And then there's Charlie and Clow, the bonus arc. And then there's The Case of the Wendigo. Little spoiler thing, but I've been participating in National Novel Writing Month, and the story that I've been working on, it just turned into the fourth adventure of the Charlie and Clow series.
Nice.
Like, I was not expecting that, but then like some of the characters made cameos, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder how this is going to go. And then as the story went on, it's like, oh, okay, it's just the fourth Charlie and Clow adventure. I'm not mad. I'm just surprised.
Yeah. It's how it goes. I'm working on a sequel too.
Well, yours was like deliberate though, like because yours is Letters of the Devil, which is your graphic novel series.
Have you done NaNoWriMo before, right?
I have, yes. Funny enough, since we're talking about Kay the Valkyrie, I will bring them back up on the screen.
By the way, Jessica says she has all those books and they're great.
Oh, yay! Thank you, Jessica. So, a funny story. Kay the Valkyrie here. I actually did a National Novel Writing Month story about how their parents met. Because their father was the prince of the Mountain Ridge Elves, which the Mountain Ridge Elves are like a homebrew race that I made up. The closest that I could find in the D&D setting was Drow. The main difference between the Mountain Ridge Elves and the Drow are that Drow live underground, like almost exclusively. Mountain Ridge Elves live in the mountains, so they have a little bit more in common with like hill dwarves than they do anybody else. but they're still elves and they have elf traits.
That seems like a pretty quick homebrew. That'd be easy to do.
Oh yeah, it's not hard. Back to actually the homebrew for how I tackled Kay being half drow, half Aasimar was I looked at Aasimar as the base because Kay is mostly Aasimar, but they do have some elf traits to them. But the Aasimar is why their ears are rounded and not pointed. But they do not have the lay on hands ability because Aasimar just have lay on hands like automatically.
Right.
Kay does not have that. There's something else that Kay does not have that's particular to Aasimar, but they did not inherit it. But I don't remember what the quality is. But
I may be bringing it up on D&D Beyond.
Okay, but yeah, Kay does have resistance to poison, which is something from their Mountain Ridge elf lineage. They're also immune to being charmed, which is handy because they have some levels of barbarian as their class.
The two possible things for Aasimar, I would guess, are resistance to necrotic and radiant damage, or knowing the light cantrip.
They do not know the light cantrip.
Okay, that's the one they're missing.
Yeah, they're missing the light cantrip. They're resistant to necrotic damage, which is relevant to their enemy. They're also resistant to poison because of their mountain elf lineage. They also can't be charmed. And there's something else about the they also did not inherit a lot of the elf background as well. So like I tried to keep it balanced so that like they had the perks and the weaknesses of both, but not too overpowered either direction.
I'm guessing light sensitivity got taken away. That's something the drow have.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, because their father is a Mountain Ridge elf. Mountain Ridge elves don't have the light sensitivity that drow do. Again, drow was just the closest in-book race that I could find. And even then, I homebrewed that a little bit to make the Mountain Ridge elves a thing. Yeah. So they have some things and they don't have other things. When it comes to my homebrew D&D campaign settings, I know that the books have this thing where it's like, oh, you're an elf or you're a half elf. Well, then you get +2 to this one stat and +1 to another one. And they're specific. In the books, they're specific. Like I think for elves, it's like a +2 to dexterity and +1 to, I want to say charisma. I don't think it's right.
It's +1 to charisma for the drow specifically. It varies based on the subrace. One thing that's worth noting, because we were talking about how the concept is being changed to lineages and ancestries and stuff like that. One of the other things they're moving away from is having stat boosts tied to your lineage. It's instead going to be tied to your background.
In the homebrew that I have it tied to class. So like if you're going to play a barbarian character, take a +2 to your strength and a +1 to your constitution, because that's relevant for barbarians. If you're going to play a bard, have a +2 to your charisma and a +1 to something else. Usually dexterity, because they do finesse weapons, and finesse is dependent on dexterity. Stuff like that. But yes, for Kay the Valkyrie, I did a lot of homebrew to make it compatible with D&D and tried not to make it too overpowered. The thing about D&D, though, is that it's a system where no matter what kind of character that you build, they do get overpowered in some way. So it's a little like Overwatch in that respect, where it's like deliberately unbalanced.
Yeah, it's balanced in the sense that everyone is overpowered.
Yes.
Like one of the things, I'm in a weekly game and we like to tease our DM in that Nee can't actually kill anybody, because no matter what gets thrown at us, we have like we just managed to deal with it, and
Mhm.
you get really frustrated with it. It's a little like in to reference Critical Role Campaign 2,
Yeah.
how Veth would always tease Ford about being weak, even though Ford totally wasn't weak.
No,
But
he really wasn't. But it's
I will throw you in the lava. You couldn't.
You couldn't.
Like, yeah.
Someone get me a fire extinguisher because I am on fire.
I looked it up, by the way.
Yeah.
Ford's strength was never below 11. He was not weak.
No, he really wasn't. It's just Sam's just a troll.
Sam's such a troll. But yeah. It's I forgot how we got. Oh yeah, but like one of the things I've come to realize is it's way more fun just to give your players the most broken things possible, so you can throw whatever you want at them. First time I was DMing in a D&D campaign, second level, I gave one of my players the worst possible cursed item I possibly could. It was great. It was a homebrew thing called the Lunatic Claymore.
Ooh.
And it was perfect for this character because they were kind of an unbalanced fighter. But the whole idea is every time they killed an enemy, they would get a hit point drained temporarily. But then they would crit on a 19 or 20. And then if it happened again before it ended, they crit on an 18 to 20. Or then it could keep getting lower. A crit, a natural one would always miss. But you could theoretically crit on a 2.
Yeah.
And the thing that was better about this is, as soon as the fight ended, they had to do a wisdom check, or they'd go berserk and keep fighting anybody around them.
Ooh.
Based on how far down that had gotten. And I gave this to them at level 2.
No, geez.
And it's a great sword, so it did 2d6 damage or something like that. It was
a big chunk of damage.
And the best part was when they hit level 4, they had a very short skirmish where 2 enemies got taken down. And it's oh yeah, it's easy. Go ahead and make the roll. And they botched the roll. So just immediately they're oh yeah, now I'm fighting you guys.
Oh geez. Yeah.
But it's
cursed items.
Yeah, exactly. You give someone something like that at an early level. It is not balanced, but it's entertaining.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing that with magical items, but I don't want to go too much into that. Because there's actually a podcast that I'm a part of that directly talks about GMing for tabletop RPGs and homebrews, how to make magical items and level zeros and all that stuff. The podcast is called The Fourth Leg, and you can find that on my Linktree at linktree/KelseyD. It's called The Fourth Leg. We actually just uploaded a new episode. It's just a full episode of an actual play where we play a 1-page RPG and we relive our high school days trying to woo the affections of Blake, and all of the players are vying for their affections and we are backstabbing each other. It's great.
Oh, that does sound fun.
It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to record.
If you like high school settings, there's a system I'm starting to play with that I've got plans for a really cool campaign that's actually going to blend D&D and this system. And it's based on the Gumshoe mystery system, which it's all about doing detective fiction role-playing games. But this one is specifically designed for the teenage Nancy Drew style detectives, and it's called Bubblegum Shoe.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's such a good name. But yeah,
I feel Bubblegum Shoe could also describe Riverdale, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think they referenced that.
Yeah, instead of gumshoe, bubblegum shoe, because it's high school.
Yeah. But yeah, any kind of crazy drama stuff or anything like that you want to do with it. They reference if you want to make it a magical school, here are rules you can do that. If you want to make it like a snooty private school, here are rules for that. If you want to go more Scooby-Doo with it, they've got different ways for doing that. The coolest thing about the system, by the way, is that if you have a skill in something, you get a clue for it. You can roll to get better clues.
Yeah.
But you at least get base clues if you're just basically good at something. So it's basically a formula for the DM giving you information. What I'm hoping to do with this system is sort of, if you're familiar with the Persona games, I'm kind of thinking of something along those lines where during the day, these guys will be kind of trying to solve mysteries and find out what's going on with some of the people in their town. And at night, they're basically entering the dream world, and they're super powered badasses.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun system once I finally get it going. But
yeah.
I
imagine it would take some tinkering to get it where you want it to be.
I think I know how to do it. The big thing I need to work on is getting used to the gumshoe system and getting my players used to the gumshoe system, because like we have an ongoing campaign right now that we're level 16, so it's probably not going to last too much longer.
Okay.
We started at level 1. We've worked our way there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the first campaign we've had that happen with.
Good. Those are fun.
After this, our DM has basically said, can we like switch it up? Because we've been meeting every week and I'm tired.
That's fair. I feel that when I was DMing my first ever D&D campaign, we had made it all the way up to level 15 and I was the only DM, and I was like, yo, I'm getting tired.
Yeah. Actually, the other crazy thing is I had a campaign going for a long time, the one with the Lunatic Claymore.
Yeah.
And we ended it in kind of a weird spot because the second letters book had come out, and I'm like, I just don't have time. I need to focus on this. Because I was doing it. I was also doing it every week pretty much. And that was almost 2 years ago now. And my players are now like, can we please start again? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. After a point, it's just like, I want to start fresh, you know?
I kind of do, but also like, I want to get the story a little bit farther. So we're at least going to do some.
Yeah. I get that too.
Do you have the problem where you keep coming up with new campaign ideas and you're like, I'm never going to be able to run these because I have all these other campaign ideas?
Well, a funny story. The nice thing about the setting that I'm currently running is that it's kind of built in a way where I can do, or I can at least facilitate whatever kind of campaign that I want. And Alex behind me can attest to this because she's one of my players in the group that I'm DMing for. She says she's waving hi. The campaign is, the player characters are part of a celestial university. I've mentioned this in the Fourth Leg podcast as well. I'll go into it a little bit here, but it's a celestial university. It's its own kind of like plane of existence. And it's like Kingdom Hearts, but not just Disney. So there's like some anime characters walking around on campus. There's DreamWorks characters walking around on campus. There's whatever kind of fandom that you want to see it on the campus is there in some way, shape, or form. I even managed to squeeze in Oddworld Abe's Odyssey in there.
Good call. I like that.
Yes. He's one of the characters who actually gave the player characters a hint for one of the quests that they were on. And I'm working with the players to, incorporate their own stories, because Alex's character, Narada, is a tabaxi, a cat person, from the clan of the Heaviside Layer. Yes, this is from Cats the Musical. And her mentor, Mr. Mistopheles, has been kidnapped, and she doesn't know who by. So she's basically like, because the Celestial University connects to other worlds by a magic tree system. So you hop from world to world by passing through the trees and teleporting there. And they're basically hopping around world to world, tree to tree. And Narada's goal is to find her lost mentor. Right. The other characters have their own goals, but that's Narada's goal. And working that into the campaign. Kay here is one of their instructors at this university. Because they are a high level character. I built their character sheet, and Alex can attest to this. As soon as I got them to the level that I wanted them to be at, I looked at their character sheet and went, "This is the most abilities that I have given any player character, and this is ridiculous."
Yeah, I did some character rolling last night, actually, because I've got kind of a new idea for a campaign, and I'm like, I have an idea for this one character that would be in it. I just want to roll them out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they're going to be an important NPC. What's their level? Roll. 19. Awesome.
Yeah, like Kay is like a level 17.
Yeah.
Ish. But they're multi-class, so they're like right now they're kind of evenly split between two classes. I don't want to go into too much detail about which classes are what.
Yeah.
But that also ties into their backstory being like half Aasimar, half Mountain Ridge Elf. Because the Mountain Ridge Elves, the royal family in particular, has a kind of like blood curse. Well, they frame it as a blood curse. It's actually a blessing because one of the other National Novel Writing Month projects I did was a prequel to all of this. Because I just build an entire universe because that's how I do in my spare time.
Yeah. That's welcome to being a DM. We all get it.
Yeah. So
what does she teach at the school? Advanced dramatic posing?
No, they teach how to work with void magic. And in particular, magic words that can manipulate the universe around you. Because their mother was a Valkyrie, and Valkyries are kind of paladins. Spoilers, Kay is not a paladin, but they have paladin-esque characteristics. But Kay's mother was a Aasimar paladin, and the Valkyries in this world that I built, they know songs and magic words that can manipulate the universe around them. And they also know a song that, if it is performed nonstop for 6 minutes by at least 6 people, it can destroy whatever world that they are residing in. Like, it is that powerful, but it has to be performed by 6 people and it cannot be interrupted. So it is not something that can be feasibly done in the middle of combat.
I'm about to say, you have 60 turns to make this not happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that sort of thing. But it's like extremely specific. Like, that's another thing I try to do to like balance out some things that could be read as overpowered in my homebrew settings, is I try to put in stipulations that are like, okay, but it has to be done like this, and it cannot be interrupted or something like that.
Part of me is always a little hesitant to do that, because when you put it it's a little like your players are a little like Captain Kirk. They don't believe in the no-win scenario. They will break the Kobayashi Maru if you make it.
Yeah, but I like putting limitations on things, especially magical items, but magical effects as well. Because I'm of the opinion that things are cooler if there are limitations to them. Like, make it as overpowered as you want, but put a limit on it. Like, this magic ring can enable you to cast an extra cantrip that's outside of your spell list, but you have to recharge it once a month on the full moon or else it stops working.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's going to be one of the challenges when I do the blended campaign, because they're basically going into the world of Dream to fight stuff. So I really want to try to incorporate Dream logic to it. So there's going to be a lot of that you'd think that would work, but it doesn't, because Dream logic. But
there should also be a mechanic.
It's going to be interesting.
There should also be a mechanic where players might be able to tell if they're dreaming or not, and if they can tell they're dreaming, that would enable them to like control outcomes a little bit. Maybe like a fate dice kind of thing.
Oh, that is interesting, because
like how divination wizards do.
Like, they basically very early on are going to be made special because they become lucids, is what they're called, basically.
Ooh, okay.
Where they are aware that they are in a dream and have full control over it. To a point. Like, everything else in the dream is affecting the dream, but like, one of the other things that's going to be fun, I'm using D&D as the base system because my group's all familiar with it. I'm the most familiar with it. But I told them, you can stat yourself as a barbarian, but that you can be a giant mech shooting lasers if you want. Like, it's a dream. You don't have to like look like the classic fantasy if that's not what your character's into, or if that's not how they view themselves. Like, I'm really trying to go Persona with it, where you can look really wild.
Yeah.
What other thing that just occurred to me since we are talking D&D that I think you would like?
Yeah, I will need to circle back around to
let's circle back.
and stuff, but well, say what you were going to say.
I do have another campaign coming up soon, and I think you'd really like the character because he's full of crap.
Okay.
I'm playing a magician who's trying to convince everyone he's the world's greatest illusionist, but he's just a thief.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a character commission that I did for Neverending's first campaign.
Really?
For Kickstarter campaign. One of the backers was playing a wizard who had like a kind of a thief background and was kind of trying to convince people that he was greater than what he actually is.
The fun of this guy is, first off, absolutely no magical ability. Cannot cast magic. Will never be allowed to cast magic. I will not have it.
Okay.
But also, not only is he kind of a showman with it, he's a pathological liar. And I've never actually done that. I tend to play pretty honest characters, but I will do everything I can to not tell the truth during this campaign. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
That's the whole time just being fast talking, so no one notices what you're doing. I am the world's greatest illusionist.
Yeah. A funny story for me, I tend to, weirdly, play characters that have an unusually high charisma. Like even Ollie the druid that I built, Ollie the half-orc druid, had a really high charisma. She would just walk into rooms and be like, "Hey, my dude, my name's Ollie. Nice to meet you," and put her hand out to like shake it, to shake hands with people, and just be like, "So how you doing, my dude? What's up? Oh, dang, you're dealing with a monster problem? Okay, what kind of monster problem? I want to help you figure it out." Like that was Ollie. Hi, Aaron. Good to see you. I see Aaron in the comments there. Yep. Thank you for joining us. But circling back to Kickstarters, because we talked a long time about D&D stuff, but
yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. We derail pretty easily. That's fine. But yes, this character, Kay the Valkyrie, is in a D&D campaign that I homebrewed. The other, I will freely admit this about this character. They started as a self-insert for another story that I was writing. But then as the story was going on, they developed a personality of their own. And I was like, you know what? Cool. Hands off. I'm going to let you do your thing. So that was really nice to see that character come into their own and just go gangbusters on whatever it is that they want to do. With this character, though, and part of the reason I want to do a Kickstarter campaign is with the extra funding, I would love to do an illustration series based around this character and their backstory. For folks who do watch this channel on a regular basis, there was a live stream that I did for a print called The Prince of Shadows. That's Kay's father. Kay's father is the Prince of Shadows, and that's the next print that I would love to get done as part of this illustration series. One thing at a time, though. I want to get the Kickstarter for this to completion and get this print out into the world. While I'm thinking about it, another thing I'm doing different with this Kickstarter campaign is I'm giving backers the option to select their reward as gifts for somebody else. Because we're in gift giving season.
That is a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
So these will be getting out before the holiday season gets going.
That's the plan. In a perfect world, I want these out before the end of the month. That's why I have this campaign set at 7 days. Because I really didn't need a whole bunch of funding to get this print to happen, but I wanted people to be able to pre-order it so that I knew how many that I needed to make. And I did the add-on system because, again, I'm sitting on a bunch of extra stuff from like convention season and stuff. And they just need to go to new homes. Like I would love if there would be more people to get these, and especially as gifts. Like I will enable if patrons, Kickstarter backers, if Kickstarter backers want to select only a part of their reward to be gifts, or if they want all of their rewards to be gifts, that option is there too. Or if they want to be a pirate and keep it for themselves, that's fine too. I am not going to judge. You're making the print happen. That's the most important thing.
I just realized it's kind of an interesting idea, like using that's not exactly what you're doing, but it's an interesting idea to use Kickstarter to do kind of a fire sale off of like merch that you didn't sell at cons, or like with cons being down specifically.
Yeah. Like this is kind of a you mean convention season that didn't happen. Yes. Yeah. That's what I meant. Words. Yeah, it is a nice way to do kind of a fire sale to clear out some stuff. What I would love to do with the extra funding from this campaign as well is line it up for new prints and merch that I want to get out for 2022. Because I would love to do more. So like more prints, like I would love to get the Prince of Shadows made into a print. Prince of Shadows being the father of Kay, the Valkyrie, this character here. I also want to do a print for their mother, Angora, the Valkyrie. Because Angora was the last one. And then Kay was born. So Kay is now the last Valkyrie. The other thing about them too is they do go by they, them, because the blood curse that I mentioned ties specifically to male souls in their father's bloodline. And Kay inherited that, even though they're female bodied. So their soul is like half male, half female. So they get they get the divine inheritance of both bloodlines. Right.
You said that was your cousin in the chat, right?
Yes. Shipping times are already getting crazy so fast. Turnaround is good. I am planning to frame both my K print and the add-ons to give as gifts. Marvelous. Because yes, I did see that you ordered some other prints as add-ons, which this would be a good segue to talk about more add-ons. So let's talk about that. Because there's a bunch of add-ons. I need to grab the extra prints that are available in question. I forgot to grab those.
Go for it. I'll vamp.
Okay, cool. Vamp.
But yeah, one of the things you mentioned, the shipping times and things like that, that was a really crazy thing last year too. All of the industry went a little bit nuts. I had a book come out last year that it took like a month longer than it normally would have taken to get any of that stuff printed. And I don't know, shipping took an interesting hit with it too. If you can, support USPS with this stuff, because they basically allow us to keep doing all this kind of thing for reasonable rates. Recent Kickstarter with an anthology that Kelsey was part of also, we were able to do a lot of that with incredibly cheap shipping just because USPS was there to help us out. And they still have faster times than half the people.
I also use a resource called Pirate Ship, which I used that for The Legend of Jamie Roberts, Volume 1. Oh my God, that service is a godsend. I will be using it again for this campaign.
That's what I did with the Less Than Secret shipping also. Like, it made life... I was seriously worried I was going to have to bring in a stack of like 100 boxes and say to someone at the post office, these all need to be media mail, and I'm sorry. But no, Pirate Ship let me print the labels, pop it on there, and then just drop it off.
Oh, good.
It was so much better. And I discovered that the day I was going to bring it in. One of the other contributors, JD Lecleed, actually was like, just use Pirate Ship. And I'm like, what's Pirate Ship? I look it up. And I'm like, okay, so what Pirate Ship is the best.
Yeah, that's what Pirate Ship is. It's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a lot of stuff to ship, 100% use it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so the prints, I don't have the extras on hand. I can print them at home because I have a home printing setup that's how I'm going to be able to fulfill all of these rewards. I have everything that I need to print everything that needs to get printed. That said, I brought up the other prints that are available also on Clip Studio Paint. This is one of them. I call it the Challenger.
Ooh.
Yes. I'm going to zoom in for some detail because
there's a lot of detail in that.
There is a lot of detail with this one. I forgot that I put that much detail in this god's horns.
I'm trying to decide, this is traditional, right?
This is traditional. This was drawn with markers. This was from Gods and Spirits, a sketchbook, which is a previous Kickstarter campaign that I did. This was day 3. That's what this was.
I really like that because you have the tiny hero and the giant in the loincloth, that they're having this dramatic moment while looking right at the gooch.
Yep. Yeah, somebody else pointed that out too.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's the great kind of fantasy. I'm always a fan of like fighting really, really giant enemies.
Oh, I am too. Like, I love the art aesthetic of like Shadow of the Colossus and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, but like I wanted to play around with scale with this one, and also just like a tiny fighter facing off against an enormous battle god. That was what I was going for with this one. The other print that will be available is the Fairy Queen.
Ooh.
And this one also has a lot of detail, so I'm going to zoom in. Once I get the zoom in feature on there. There we go. Okay. I forgot I put the detail in that earring loop. I drew this a while ago. I liked her so much I made her into the cover for Witches, a sketchbook.
Now this is digital, right?
This is traditional.
This is traditional. Wow. That is clean.
Yeah, this was oh gosh. It was the fine line pen. I want to say that the tattoos in particular were drawn with like a 0.5 nib, and Copic markers for color.
I can't believe those are Copics. That's really...
I know, right?
Yeah, I've never been able to get a handle on markers.
Oh, I love markers. They were my coloring tool of choice for the longest time before I made the full transition to Clip Studio Paint.
Yeah, when I have to do traditional color, I tend to use watercolor. I like having all that variation ability, and that's the one problem I have with markers is they just tend to be like they're even color, which is good, but like that's tricky for me. Yeah.
But I really like traditional because of the line variations. But my background is in caricatures, and caricatures, you're classically trained to play around with line qualities to get different effects. So like I love the hatching in the leaves of the crown here. I love the details on that. Like there's a lot about this particular piece that I just love.
It is an awesome piece.
Yeah. So this one will be available as an add-on for backers who back this on Kickstarter. The link is on screen. tinyurl.com/KS Valkyrie. Fairy Queen. I selected her as my add-on because she is one of my fave book covers from you. Thank you so much. I did really like her as the cover art for Witches, a sketchbook. I feel like she's one of the big reasons why that book sells out as much as it does at conventions.
I could see it.
She's just so good.
It is very good.
Yeah. So she is going to be available as an 8.5 by 11. And I did a little bit of shopping and research just to make sure that these dimensions could fit in frames. The 8.5 by 11, there are frames that exist that will fit that. They're usually like document frames, but they work.
Yeah. You could also, in theory, do 9 by 12 with a mat.
You could, yes. The Challenger is a lot like Kay the Valkyrie. It is also an odd size. So the dimensions that I gave for Kay the Valkyrie it's because Kay is like 11 inches wide by 6 inches tall, I want to say.
That's what you just said before for Kay, yeah.
Yes. So, whoop. I did move layer instead of hand. There we go. Okay. But with the Challenger, I just rotated the canvas. So it's going to be like 10 or 11 inches tall and 6.5 inches wide. So that one's kind of an odd one. So if you wanted to get a frame for that, you would need to mat it first or get it custom framed. But like mats would be a better way to go. But as far as frames go, whenever you are backing this campaign on Kickstarter, you are getting just illustrations. They do not come framed. The exception are the Dragon Baby paintings, which are available as an add-on. The Dragon Baby paintings were made for Dragons, a sketchbook on Kickstarter. They're just paintings of dragon babies. Let me find those. Vamp for me.
Vamp. All right. Well, as you see here, there is a clear line of sight to the gooch. Now, okay, I need to find something better to talk about. Less Than Secret. I'm just going to vamp about that for a second. So Kelsey worked with us on an anthology project recently, Less Than Secret, a cryptid comic anthology. If you are not familiar with this, the Kickstarter was earlier this year, and it just went up for sale officially. So if you want to get copies, if the Mothman in your life would like it as a gift, or if a Chupacabra already chewed up your copy, you can now get them at our new website, canonwrite.com. That's CANONWRITE.com, because we are writers of canon.
Okay. I'm going to lower the other screen to show off the paintings here. All right. So the Dragon Baby paintings do come framed because they are small. Jessica has the purple dragon. I have an orange dragon here. I'm angling this so that it doesn't get this glare as much. There's the orange. And if you look real close, there's little gel pen tattoos on there. Because these were painted with watercolor. That's why they're a little pricier. Plus, they come framed. So they're pricier because of that, because they come framed. I also have, this one's my personal favorite. The little brown dragon baby.
I like that. It kind of makes me think of like medieval art. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, that was the vibe that I wanted to go with these ones.
You got it.
I painted a bunch of these for Dragons, a sketchbook on Kickstarter, and I still have 3 dragon babies left over. You just saw the first 2, the orange and the brown. I also have the yellow.
Nice.
Yes, these are 4x6. Again, they come framed, so no worries about that. But they are available as add-ons on the Kickstarter. I only have 3 of these, though, so get them while you can.
Go for it. It's funny. I love dragons, and I have the hardest time drawing them. I don't know what it is. Like, I can draw other animals way easier than I can draw dragons.
Can you draw a snake?
I can draw a snake. I don't know why I can't draw.
Can you draw wings?
I can draw wings.
Just draw a snake with wings.
Yeah, I don't get why it's so difficult for me. I do it because it's fun. Actually, there was a fun thing there was an assignment we were given at the Center for Cartoon Studies where we had to bring in lists of like a list of things we really like to draw and a list of things that we wish we drew better. We had to bring in 20 of each. And me being dumb, I didn't make the connection that the 20 was significant because we brought them in, and at the next class, the instructor pulled out a D20 and rolled. And gave us a couple combinations of things we had to draw. And so I got dragon for things I like to draw. But then it got into the stuff that, we wish we drew better. And, it's an art class. We're talking about stuff that's like legitimately art problems. So I may have written boobs affected by gravity. Because that's a tough thing to learn how to draw, especially when you don't have them. And I got the combination dragon with boobs affected by gravity.
I think you showed me this piece.
I might have
giggling really hard about it.
It's just a dragon with that
middle-aged dragon older, in front of the mirror,
sagging, looking at a mirror and sighing, just like.
Yep.
But yeah, it's weird because as soon as I heard that was what I saw he was rolling, I'm like, I know the dice will hate me. This is gonna happen. It's gonna give me the boobs one, and I'm gonna sound like a creep.
Oh man, no, honestly,
there's artists get it. You could be drawing people even if you're drawing people fully clothed, you need to know how this stuff works.
Yeah, so that you don't get the weird high school dead effect.
Yeah, or like the classic kind of superhero thing where every single woman has the exact same body because the artist doesn't know how to draw anything else.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to vary up my female bodies and how they are drawn.
Same.
Oh, with the dragon babies, Erin mentions that she has the pink dragon. It's in my bedroom protecting me. Thank you. I am glad that the baby dragon is protecting you from nightmares and whatever else goes bump in the night. But yes, there are 3 dragon babies left. They are available as add-ons when you go to tinyurl.com/KS Valkyrie. I went a little Victor Borga there.
KS Valkyrie.
Yes. Well, it's better than saying tinyurl.com.
Yeah.
Which is it's another Victor Borga-ism. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. So there is this conductor who was also a comedian. His name was Victor Borga. He did a lot to make classical music funny. I'll send you some links later. But one of the bits that he did, he actually had some bits where he did some talking. And one of them was called phonetic punctuation. Because he was like, whenever you're reading things out loud to people, it may be more effective to have particular sound effects for different punctuations so that people can better understand what you are saying. So for periods, it was and for question marks, it was
I like
and
it.
for exclamations, it was dashes were just because it's the same as an exclamation point, just sideways.
Yep.
And as he put it, quotation marks are, or if you're left-handed,
These all work. Like,
they do.
It's funny because
actually, for the bit, he also reads out loud from a book to illustrate his point, where it's like, Henry.
see, it's extra good to me just because, you know, cartoonists talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
We make sound effects while we draw. Like
We do.
We're doing motions, like a character in motion. We're like,
Yeah.
pa, 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 pa.
I was recently working on my National Novel Writing Month project, working on a comic script, and I was drawing a scene where a phone vibrates, and as I was drawing it, I was just like, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to be doing this out loud, but
I mean, it helps with sound effects, especially.
it does help with sound effects, though.
So I had a problem because cell phones were a bigger thing in my second book. And by habit, I was writing ring, ring. And I'm like, nobody has their ringer on anymore. And if they do, it's not ring, ring. But that's just like habit. And I had to kind of break that and go,
Yeah. I was mostly inspired by the guys of Team 4-Star do a new thing called Dragon Shorts. One of the Dragon Shorts had Vegeta rage calling Nappa multiple times. And there was a close up on a phone just on a table, and it would just be like, if you can't tell by the camera because of low resolution for whatever reason, that hand is like,
yeah.
And that's how the phone would vibrate. It was like, and I'm like, yeah, that's what phones do now, though.
Yeah, it works. Like, I love the it's like he comes back and checks his phone later, and it says, "You have over 9,000 new messages."
Yeah, or it's like, 136 calls. Not pulling a pin on that grenade.
Yep. One other thing, I know you're a fan of this game. I got to try a tiny bit of it recently, and I did not quite get it. But at some point, we ought to like mess with it so I can play with somebody who knows what they're doing. Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Oh boy!
Yeah. So the big problem, first off,
I can give you some pointers.
So I have a group of friends that we game pretty much every weekend, and we have a rotating thing of who gets to pick what games we're playing.
Yeah.
And someone said, let's play this because it just became available on Game Pass. And I'm like, I have a little bit of time. I'm going to boot it up early just to see if there's any weird stuff. And I got to the menu system and I'm like, yep, this is weird. I'm glad I did this. Like, it took me I had to Google it to figure out how to make a match. Like, it is weird.
So I have not played an online mode yet. I've been almost exclusively offline right now. I do want to get into online mode just to get some of the DLC downloadable characters because I really, I cannot understate this enough. I really want to play Janemba at least once. If you have no idea who I'm talking about, I can bring up Janemba character art because I've drawn him. But I mostly want to play Janemba because he strikes me as a fun character to play as because he plays with portals. Like he can be on one side of the arena and then he can throw his foot down through a portal and he kicks the character on the other side of the arena.
See, I love characters like that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite fighting game characters is Whip from King of Fighters, specifically 2002, 2003 Whip. And her whole thing is kind of a lot of space control stuff where she can hit you from far away. If you get in close, she's got hits. But in 2002, she basically has a teleport move where she whips up, goes up, and depending on which button you hit, she can come down at a different spot on the stage to attack you.
Now, actually, since we're talking about fighting games, I think that would actually be a good point to bring up too. If this Kickstarter campaign for Kay the Valkyrie as a wall print goes well, I want to do another series of prints for like a fighting game roster. Because I have had in mind a fighting game roster for like the better part of like 2 or 3 years now of just fighting game characters who are all people of color.
Yes, you told me about this. I like this idea.
Yeah, like I want to do an entire fighting game roster where all of the characters are characters of color, and I've been trying to do research to make sure that like I'm not doing any cultural faux pas. Like I know that one of the character archetypes for fighting games is the puppet character. Puppet characters are, I am a dude, but I control a puppet and the puppet does all of the fighting for me. And if it sounds like this is a difficult character to control in a fighting game, that's because it is. But puppet characters do exist. There's not really a puppet character in Dragon Ball FighterZ. The closest it gets is Nappa because he has the ability to plant seeds that grows Cybermen. And the Cybermen you can kind of control, but it's not his main gimmick. Nappa also overlaps with another fighting game character archetype called the Big Body. And the Big Bodies have big bodies. They are the tankers, the bruisers. They're the guys that do the most damage but are really, really slow. Another reason I really like fighting games is because of these really easy character archetypes and also just the character designs. I love character designs.
Honestly, the KOF games in particular were a big part of me learning some early art color theory and stuff like that. Because especially when you look at their pixel art versions, they had these custom color modification systems. And what was really cool about that was you got to see where they reused colors, where it wasn't always obvious. Like sometimes the shading would actually be the exact same color in another spot. And that would stay consistent whenever you change colors. So you could make some really weird looking stuff.
Oh yeah.
But it was so good for figuring out design.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the character designers who worked on Guilty Gear, which is another fighting game series, definitely played this up to the nth degree. Because like the good guy characters are all in white, and there is a character who is the main antagonist, and I kid you not, his name is Soul Bad Guy.
Yeah.
Like this series is bonkers. But Soul Bad Guy is almost exclusively red and blacks.
Well, see, it's extra weird because he's not the sole bad guy. There are other bad guys. But no, actually I don't even...
The reason that he's called Soul Bad Guy is because it's a reference to Queen, and the guy who developed this game series is a big fan of Queen and Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, there are a lot of music references in that series.
Oh yeah.
I haven't played much Guilty Gear because I played one of them a long time ago. I love the art. I love the character designs, but it's not my type of fighter at all.
I've heard that the mechanics are odd, and it's funny because the guys who developed Guilty Gear developed Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yeah. The big thing that's weird about Guilty Gear is that each character handles very, very differently. Which doesn't sound like a big problem. It's a problem specifically for me because I'm the type of guy who likes to play random. I like to play as many different characters as possible.
Yeah.
And
well, you're going to gel. You'll gel well with Dragon Ball Fighters then, because with Dragon Ball Fighters or Dragon Ball Fighter Z, the character commands are generally the same across the characters, but each character, the command does different things. So like. A down swoop X is something that applies to all characters, but for some characters, like pulling from my butt here, Perfect Cell, his actually I'm going to use a different command. His triangle 3 times is a close encounter explosion. For another character, like pulling from another. Piccolo, Piccolo, you hit triangle 3 times and it's a long distance attack. So
I feel like my biggest
same
problem,
button prompts, different effects.
That's how a lot of the games I like tend to do it. They often will have a variety of button prompts for it, and of course, there's more complexity if you stick with it. But like you, whenever I get a character that I'm not familiar with, I'm like, okay, let me try all the different direction quarter circles, half circles, dragon punches, and like see if they'd have charge moves. Actually, if quarter circles don't work, I check charge moves quickly, even though they're kind of phasing those characters out.
Yeah.
I will be right back now, if that's all right.
What was that?
I will be right back right now. Your turn to vamp.
It's my turn to vamp.
Yep.
It's fun to watch the two of us get lost in discussing passion, says Jessica. So thank you for that. So yes, now I can talk about Kay the Valkyrie again, which is the Kickstarter program Kickstarter campaign that I am running right now. I will share the screen again. This is one of the prints that you could get as an add-on. Let me highlight Kay in particular. This character here, on Kickstarter right now, go pre-order your wall print. You also have the option to select it as a gift and send it to somebody else. We are in gift giving season after all. If this illustration goes well, I would like to unlock more rewards to include in folks' packages. But if this campaign goes well, I want to expand the story of this character and draw more illustrative prints, possibly even an art book. That'd be really cool. I would love to do more art books because I've seen other people's art books and I'm like, I could do that. So back the campaign, help make it happen. When I was drawing this, you can actually see the drawing process for Kay the figure in another live stream, which is archived on my YouTube channel. Link to my YouTube channel down below. This campaign, though, is only up for another 4 days. This is a short form Kickstarter campaign. I like doing short form campaigns, like 7 days or less. Those are some of my favorites because instead of like 30 days of I would rather just have 1 week of it's not that bad though. But yeah, 7 days, kind of like a flash sale, you could say. Trying to think what else. If you got any questions for me, shout them out in the comments. I would love to answer questions. Plug in the Kickstarter.
I am back.
Yay! Glad to have you back.
Yay.
Yes. I'm thinking probably another 15 minutes for the stream, and then we can wrap it up maybe.
That works.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions, shout them out in the live chat, and we'll answer them to our best ability.
Have you already teased Jessica about saying disgusting passions?
I didn't want to say anything because we do not shame our backers and our fans, Ben.
It's not shaming. They are disgusting passions. Have you seen fighting games?
Oh my god. Yeah, I will say that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are my disgusting passions because I could talk about them nonstop if allowed.
Which character am I going to play as in Dragon Ball Fighter Z? I think I'll pick the blonde one.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. My default character whenever I'm playing Dragon Ball Fighter Z is Perfect Cell. And
I think I did play as Perfect Cell when I tried it.
He's a good all-rounder. All-rounders are another character archetype in fighting games. All-rounders, or the Shoto character, are the prototypical fighter character. Like they're good all around, which is why the name is all-rounders. Like they have good offense, good defense. They have short distance, mid-range, and long distance attacks. They also tend to have a uppercut punch and one thing that's their gimmick. Like generally speaking, if we're talking about all-rounders. So in Dragon Ball Fighters, Goku or Super Saiyan Goku, because there's like 7 different iterations of Goku in Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I have not really played any of them, like, because Goku's not my favorite. But Perfect Cell is my favorite all-rounder character to play as. Not just because I'm a big fan of his. Like, yes, he is an asshole. I am not going to try to defend him and be like, no, they're secretly so good. No, this guy is a dick. Like, I am not going to argue otherwise, but like, he is so charismatic as a dick. But I like to play as him because he is a good all-rounder and he's got some unique abilities. He's also one of those characters that, like, he has some abilities from the other characters, and that's by deliberate design, because that was how he was in the original manga and anime. He was built to be like a conglomeration of like the best qualities of the other fighters to be like the perfect being, which is why he's Perfect Cell. It turns out he's an asshole because of that. Also, a fun fact for folks who are somewhat familiar with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, found this out. The Red Ribbon Army was modeled after Nazis from a video game that Toriyama created, or that he played one time. Because Toriyama was playing a video game that had Nazis in there, and he was like, I want to do some commentary on this. So he just made the Red Ribbon Army. So the Red Ribbon Army is his universe's version of Nazis.
That's pretty crazy.
It's pretty bonkers. It also makes the androids that much more tragic because it's like, oh geez, 17 and 18, the twin androids who are actually cyborgs, they were teenagers who were kidnapped by the leading scientist of the Red Ribbon Army, the leading scientist of the Nazis, and experimented on and made into cyborgs. And they're still mad about it, understandably. So like that hits different.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
The fighting game generalist thing, that is absolutely it's funny because I very often like playing as the second player equivalent of that. Like to use Street Fighter just as an example, because it's one of the most popular. If I had to pick between the two, I'd absolutely play as Ken.
Okay, yeah.
But and usually there are other characters in there that I'd be more interested in playing. I did I played as Chun-Li for a long time. But it's funny because
I was going to say something, but finish your thought first.
It is kind of funny because in fighting games, the generalists do like. I very often find protagonists boring. There's so much. They're so often designed to be like, this is the character the most people are supposed to be able to identify with, so we're going to not make them have a distinct character of their own. That's not entirely the case in most fighting games. Like the generalist often gets a huge fan following because
it's not true of Perfect Cell. He is definitely a dick and he is unapologetic about it. But he is the best all-rounder, and I will fight people on that. Yeah,
I get it. It makes sense actually for him.
Yeah,
I remember the main thing that threw me on trying to play Fighter Z is I didn't understand how to use the verticality of it, because you can fly and just be fighting in the air. And to
an extent, yes. a lot of Dragon Ball Fighters does lean a little more towards ground combat, more than I would like. But you can fight in the air, which is a thing.
Yeah.
I find it a little bit clunky mechanically. I think Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 did a better job of aerial mechanics, personally. And from what I've seen of Dragon Ball Z Raging Blast 2, they did a really good job of it as well. But
yeah. I deliberately
the problem with Raging Blast 2 is that you kind of need a keyboard and mouse to do all of the inputs that game is capable of.
That sucks for a fighting game.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that's also tricky with it is I deliberately did not go through the tutorial or anything like that.
You need to go through the tutorial.
Well, the reason I didn't is because I was about to play with a bunch of friends who were not going to have time to go through the tutorial. Like two of them have kids and get on as soon as their kids are put down to sleep.
Gotcha.
Okay. And also, I'm actually like I'm the only one in the group who plays fighting games, so I was like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to be a dick and just like practice beforehand and know what I'm doing.
I mean, that's basically what I'm doing in offline mode. Is I'm playing the game in story mode so that I can better understand the controls and know which characters that I want to play as. Like,
normally I would do it. I'm just saying I didn't this time because I didn't want to completely destroy my friends and have them never want to play a fighting game again. Because I'd love to get them into Soul Calibur. Like that would be a fun romp.
Yeah. Like as far as like, again, I have not downloaded any of the extra DLC characters for fighters. As soon as I do, I want to try out the team dynamic of Perfect Cell, Janemba, and Master Roshi. Because Perfect Cell is a good all-rounder. Janemba would make a good like point or like a good like a second or third person. And Master Roshi is very technical.
Right.
Because Master Roshi can't technically fly. So the way that he gets around the arena like he's flying is that he casts Kamehameha. And he uses the Kamehameha wave to either get to one side of the arena or the other, or to blast himself up in the air for a high jump, or go sideways, whatever it is.
Man, I need to try playing as Master Roshi because that seems like it'd be a lot of fun. The old guy characters are great in fighting games, like when they're done really well. There's actually the SNK games have a very Master Roshi-like character called Tung Fu Ru.
Ooh, I've heard of that. Which game series was this?
It's the various SNK fighters. He was originally in Fatal Fury and is also in KOF now.
That's where I recognize it because I know the Fatal Fury characters.
Yeah.
And I was like, Tung Fu Ru, that's from Fatal Fury. What the heck?
He was in the very first Fatal Fury. And the thing that was awesome about it, because when you play through the story of that game, that was so early that you only had 2 characters you could play as.
Yeah.
But you would play through and you get to Tung Fu Ru stage and you're like, okay, this fight isn't going too bad. Like, it doesn't seem that bad. Then he gets down to half health. And all of a sudden, he does the Master Roshi Hulk out form. Like, he becomes gigantic all of a sudden and, ripped. And everyone's just like, what? Wait, what's going on?
Yeah, that's another reason I want to play as Master Roshi is because, he has that, beanpole old man form, but he has the ability to, Hulk out.
Yeah, it's crazy in a lot of fighting games because usually the old man form is also the drunken master form. And those are complicated because... Yeah. Like so many of those characters end up being low tier because they're too hard to pull anything off. But they're built entirely around getting drunk. Like the more you drink, the more powerful and complicated your moves get. And that can be fun. Yeah.
In fighting game character archetype parlance, that almost sounds like what would be like the unorthodox character. The unorthodox characters are the characters that defy the usual character archetypes of the game that they are in. So
Goldo?
in fighters, no, not Goldo. Goldo is actually a summons by Master Ginyu or by Captain Ginyu.
Right.
Because you can't play as Goldo individually in fighters. You can only summon him when you're playing as Ginyu. But the unorthodox character in Fighters is Majin Buu. Fat Buu.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I would almost call him big body, except for the fact that the way that he levels up is not like how everybody else does. And also he has the ability to stretch himself like rubber, and also his like third tier limit breakers are fucking overpowered and can destroy the arena. So like, yeah, unorthodox character.
Yeah, I was immediately, my first thought was from Soul Calibur, the character Voldo, who is the freaky character. The freak character. That's the other term besides
freak character. But unorthodox is the nicer way to put it. In Guilty Gear, I don't remember what this doctor's name is, but
yes, I was thinking of the same guy. I love him.
He's this spindly dude. You don't ever
with the bag over his head and the giant
bag.
Yeah, I played when I played through. That's who I played as.
Okay, yeah.
I wish I could remember his name because he's great.
Yeah, he's an unorthodox character in Guilty Gear.
Yeah, well, they also have a couple. Every good game series has a couple. Trying to think who the real unorthodoxes would be in KOF, because there are a few. Okay. There are definitely a few.
Nameless, I'm not familiar enough with Kingdom Fighters to really comment on that. But like, I've been doing some research into character archetypes for fighting games because of the fighting game character roster that I want to illustrate at some point.
Yeah.
I actually started a sketch. I want to show off the sketch because I'm really liking how it's coming out so far.
Go for it. You know, I actually have really old art of fighting game concepts I was working on a while back. I keep thinking of revisiting this and doing it again because I love the idea.
I mean, do it.
Yeah.
Here we go. This guy.
Ooh.
Yes. When I said that I wanted to do a fighting game roster where all the characters were people of color, one of the first ones that I thought of was the Black Samurai. I'm trying to remember his name, but this guy is a real character from history.
Yeah. Are you talking about not the guy who was in The Last Samurai? I think he was fictionalized, but William Adams?
No, I'm talking about somebody else. Hold on. Let me Google it real quick.
Oh, wait. Are you talking about the guy from Africa who became a samurai?
Yes.
Okay. He was
his name is Yasuke. I just looked it up.
Yasuke, yeah. He wasn't quite, he was a little before William Adams, I think, but they were roughly contemporary. Similar situation.
Didn't you draw that samurai on a stream? I might have. I've done so many streams, I've lost track. But I probably did draw this guy at some point on a live stream.
Are you thinking of doing a weapon fighter, by the way?
Yes. He's probably going to be one of them because he has his sword. But other weapon fighters, I do want to incorporate a boxer and a wrestler. Because, the wrestler is going to have to be the grappler. The boxer is, there's another character archetype that boxer is well suited for, but I don't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head right now. There's also one character archetype called the footsie, which I need to poke around a little bit about that because footsie is almost like a kind of a debatable one because like there are some people who use the term footsie and other people who are like, no, that sounds stupid. It's this character archetype. But footsies are people who deal with like close to medium range combat, but they have better dodges than the other characters do. There's not really a footsie character in Dragon Ball FighterZ, but the closest one that I can think of would be Videl, because Videl's dodge is the best dodge of any of the characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ.
I'm looking up. Oh no, this is for Smash Brothers. That doesn't help me at all. I'm trying to look up what other examples of footsies because I'm not.
There was a YouTube video that talked about game character archetypes, and there was a character in Street Fighter that was classified as a footsie. She was a blonde woman. I think in the most recent Street Fighter games, she had like curls, like really tight curls.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I do not remember her name.
I'm trying to remember how she fights. I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't played a lot of Street Fighter V. Street Fighter. What is a Footsie's character? In someone who covers all their weaknesses and tempts the enemy before beating them down. Da 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 da. Sorry, I'm doing research on the stream. That's probably bad.
No, you're fine. While you're doing that, I'll talk about Kay the Valkyrie again, who is on Kickstarter right now. Only for 4 more days, y'all. You got 4 days left to get your Kay the Valkyrie print here. If I had to qualify Kay as a fighting game character, they would probably be. That's actually a good question. I was really tempted to say the big body, but they're actually not that tall. But they do have levels in barbarians, so I would say probably. Oh, you know what? I actually have a list of fighting game roster characters, and I saved it on my Evernote. Let me bring up the list. But Kay is a character from a homebrewed Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I put together. I want to do an entire illustration series for this character and their story. And that includes the Prince of Shadows, which is another print that I was drawing in another live stream. And I did a live stream where you can watch me draw Kay the Last Valkyrie. That is available on my YouTube. But fighting game roster characters.
If you wanted an example, by the way, of a boxer that does this, there actually is one in KOF named Vanessa, who might be worth looking at. Because if I'm understanding this correctly, like, do counters go into it also with a footsie?
They can.
Because she has a fantastic dodge and counter system where she does a bob and weave. Also, by the way, she's a great design for a boxer. Like, very atypical, but... Yeah, handles fantastic. She's my favorite boxer in games.
I forgot one of the character archetypes is zoner. Zoners are people who specialize in long distance stuff. So in Dragon Ball FighterZ, Frieza is a zoner.
Yeah. Other examples would be, well, honestly, some of the people who do a lot of fireball work. Going back to classic Street Fighter 2, I'm blanking on his name. Was Dulcim the one with the stretchy arms? Am I remember correctly? Yeah, Dulcim. Okay. Because he could punch across the stage.
Yeah. Piccolo has some abilities like that because I'm so glad they did this for Dragon Ball FighterZ. They incorporated his stretchy arms.
I was about to say, you need to have a stretchy arms.
You need to have the stretchy arms in a fighting game, and I'm so glad that that the game creators remembered. Oh, Piccolo actually has stretchy arms because Toriyama keeps forgetting this all the time. Okay. Fighting game rosters. Other characters. You know what? Kay would probably be the anime sword fighter. In Smash Brothers. A lot of people have accused Smash Brothers of being overdosed with anime sword fighters like Cloud and Sephiroth and now Sora. I'm so glad that Sora finally made it into Smash Brothers. When I saw the announcement trailer, I almost cried. I will be honest.
My favorite example, whenever I hear anime sword fighters, my first thought is Parn from what was that? It's an old anime. All of a sudden, I'm blanking. So it was actually an anime based on D&D that came out in like the 90s.
Oh, that's neat.
But there was the main character was your generic, like the most generic protagonist of a fantasy setting ever. He's literally a young guy with a sword that keeps getting called the chosen one by everybody who's going through this adventure. Okay. But he had a thing we all called Parn style combat where he did the exact same move for the vast majority of the series, where he'd scream, jump, and yell while swinging his sword, and it never worked.
Yep.
He always got knocked aside because he was a terrible hero.
Yeah, that tracks for
Record of Lodoss War. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if At the Stage talked about it on Anime Abandoned at some point. It probably did.
He probably did. The Record of stuff is kind of fun to watch, but it's a turn off your brain type of anime because a lot of it's dumb.
Mm.
Also, they introduce a Berserker in one episode, and he seems awesome, and then he's gone. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's so cool.
Yeah. I'm looking at the fighting game character archetypes. I forgot that one of the ones, because I did a bunch of like Googling and a bunch of looking at lists and seeing like, okay, what are the roles that pop up the most? Which ones are not as common? This one list that I found had a fighting game character archetype called the Turtle, which I'm like, well, that's unusual, but okay. But the Turtle
based around guarding a lot, right?
No, the Turtle archetype is have at you, hide. They strike and they hide. That's it.
That's style.
Aaron, time for me to go. Thanks for sharing all the game passion. I love Kay the Valkyrie. Thank you. Also, thank you for backing the campaign. I saw that you were one of the backers. Thank you so much. So, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Boo-boo. Our cats are being very fussy today because, first there's Boo Boo.
Our cats are being cats today.
Well, they're usually fussy, but today they're extra fussy, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's cold and they don't like cold. I don't know, but
the thermometer's off the charts.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Turtling Guile in Street Fighter 2 was often fell into that category because he was a charge character. In order to do a lot of his moves, he was basically guarding all the time and then would have to hit.
Yeah. Charger was one of the character archetypes that popped up on the list, and I'm like, yeah, that makes more sense. Another archetype is Rushdown. Vegeta in Dragon Ball FighterZ is considered a Rushdown character, and Rushdown characters are, you are on the back foot, time to pummel you with all of the attacks.
Yep. That's another good example would be Nightmare from the most recent Soul Calibur games. He's one of those guys where you just stay aggressive and just keep hitting as much as you possibly can.
Yeah. The overly aggressive characters.
that one's always kind of fun just because the other person just no, wait, stop.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Come to think of it, Kay would probably be an overlap between the anime sword fighter and the Rushdown character, because if Kay ever gets into a rage, it's kind of hard to make him stop.
Yep.
Because they can't be charmed.
I was also thinking potentially of sort of, I don't know if there's a different name for it, but the Rochambeau characters who really do wait, they just absorb hits, waiting for their moment, and then they hit back really hard.
Yeah. That sounds like a, I almost want to say maybe stance or composite, possibly even a mix-up character.
I could see it. I was kind of picturing Siegfried also from Soul Calibur in my head, because he's really one of those characters where he spends a lot of time guarding or taking hits because he's a little bit slow. But then when he gets an opening and starts hitting, he gets momentum, and it's really hard to stop him.
Oh, that actually sounds more like a big body. Big bodies are good for that.
He's at least borderline big body. The real big body in that series is
because Nappa is big body. I think both Brolys are big body in Dragon Ball FighterZ. I have not played the Brolys yet, so I can't say one way or the other. If I had to pick one Broly or the other, I would play the Dragon Ball Super version of him. For folks who are looking at the character roster and they're like, which guy is that? Dragon Ball Super Broly, he's one of the only ones with black hair. But he is also wearing purple leggings and a green fur belt because 90s aesthetic. Keep this in mind.
Man, I remember how confusing it was going through the manga later on when everybody goes Super Saiyan and you're just he's just drawing the same character over and over again because they all have the same face too. That's just
kinda.
Yeah.
But also one of the reasons why they opted for the pale hair for Super Saiyan form, and Toriyama has come on record to say this. He was like, my assistant really liked the pale hair because he was tired of coloring the hair in.
I get it. There are always funny reasons for that.
I know, I love it.
It for some reason it makes me think of
Super Saiyan character transformations. So Kay the Valkyrie here, this is not their normal skin color. This form that you are seeing on the screen, this is their rage form. So their rage form is when their eyes turn like completely white and their skin is like midnight black. And that's their rage form. Like I said, they're barbarians, so they have a divine rage.
That's always fun when they change, when they rage.
Oh yeah, I love that kind of descriptor. Also, for folks who are curious, because barbarians have subclasses within the class. So K here is I believe the technical name for this is the divine soul.
Okay.
The path of the divine soul, I want to say, which is a kind of barbarian path that you can take. Those are really close to like traditional Valkyries. Like Valkyries and like the barbarians from like Nordic mythology. The ones that when they rage, they inspire all of their comrades to take arms and charge into combat, like those guys.
Is it a homebrew?
It is an unearthed arcana.
Unearthed arcana. Okay, yeah, that's why it's not showing up here. That makes sense.
It might be in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Don't know. But when I looked up the version that I'm using is Unearthed Arcana.
Man, I'm looking at Barbarian. I haven't played a Barbarian in a while. I played a Dex-based Nobleman Barbarian the one time I played it. That was fun.
Yep. I will say one of my favorite Barbarians that I built a character sheet for was Kay's father. Kay's father, yes, he is a barbarian. He is a high-level barbarian, but he has a noble background because he is a prince.
Yeah. No, noble barbarians are great. Like you basically are making a power-hungry sociopath a lot of times. Like
Kay's father is not that.
Okay.
Kay's father is, I am a prince. I recognize my responsibility to my people. I have this ability that's been passed down my bloodline for ages. We don't entirely know or remember why it is that this happens, but this is something that all men in my family, in the royal family, can do. I accept that this is a thing that I am capable of. I need to use it for good.
Cool. That's honestly a better way to do a lot of barbarians. I love when they have to control the rage or learn how to work with it.
Yeah. And this is a thing that tracks for me. He is also very charismatic. He has a lot of points in charisma.
Man, that's always fun. It's been weird because the last couple of characters I've done have not been charisma based at all.
Yeah.
I've only really played one very heavily charisma based character, and it was so much fun.
I think I know which character you're talking about.
Little orphan Annie with magic. Yeah, she was adorable, and that her charisma was entirely based on being cute. Yeah, and it was like unintentional, but people would do nice things for her.
Yep, I like when people play charisma in any way that is not giant slut.
Yes. Because
like charisma does get a lot of flack for being the slut stat, but I like playing around with charisma as like a people person ability.
There was there's a series of videos I've been watching. This guy mostly does TikTok, but I've been watching on YouTube. I'm trying to remember what he's called, but he does these very quick D&D videos. And one of the running gags he has is that the bard's job is to seduce the dragon.
Oh, I know which guy you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And like that joke comes up all the time. The bard's like, I seduce the dragon. But one of the things I was like, that's a great joke. And then I thought about our party. And I'm like, wait a minute. The bard's fiance is a dragonborn. I guess you're right.
Yeah, it's kind of a running joke that the bard's job is to seduce the dragon.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
But it's just really funny that I was like, wait a minute. And I brought this up with them. They're like, excuse you. You do realize I'm also a dragonborn. I'm like, yeah, but you're still playing to type.
Yeah. Kay does have a romantic partner in the D&D campaign that I am running. Because I just love the dynamic of like angelic looking person and demon looking person being a couple, and they're not trying to change each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tiefling or
tiefling. This character had to be built as a tiefling. This was the closest equivalent that I could find in D&D. Again, because there's a lot of like pop culture characters that are in this campaign. Like Abe from Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, maybe not so much pop culture because he's from an indie game, but he's in the campaign as an NPC that you can interact with. Other NPCs from other media include, I'm going to squeeze in Gallo and Leo from the anime Promare. They're in this campaign.
Fun.
Yeah. They're also students. They are in the same like grade as my player characters are. So they will be interacting with each other more frequently. There's also obviously a lot of Dragon Ball characters because this is my campaign. So there's going to be a lot of Dragon Ball Z characters. Yes.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, how would you make anything happen with Dragon Ball characters in a 6-second round?
Carefully.
It's like, okay, I'm charging up some more.
Well, no. What it is I'm really glad that there was a collaboration between the Dungeon Coach and I don't remember what this other group's name is, but the Dungeon Coach, who also has a YouTube channel, check it out if you like homebrew D&D stuff. He collaborated with another team to make a kind of a patch so that you could play Dragon Ball characters in D&D. And I have that PDF because I'm that kind of nerd.
I wasn't a monk class built that was basically designed for that.
It's a variant of monk. That's how they did this with their homebrew. The main differences that I found is that their damage die, instead of being a D4, is a D8. And their special abilities that you get by spending a certain amount of key points, because monk uses key points to do special abilities. It's the certain amount of key points that enables you to do things like cast Kamehameha or cast Special Beam Cannon or stuff like that. Before I got my hands on that PDF, though, the way that I was building these Dragon Ball Z characters was I was making them what I like to call bonks. Bard monks.
I get it. So that they get access to the spells, but are also able to,
Yes, because I found this out. Monk, some subclasses of monk can do magic, but they don't get those abilities until level 13 or so.
Another option to look at, this is one I've often heard people say, this was put in D&D specifically for to make Goku, is Way of the Sun Soul Monk. Because a lot of that,
that's one option. Sun Soul Monk is not in the base player's handbook.
No, it's in Xanathar's, I think.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. I don't have a copy of Xanathar's, so I would not know. I also don't have a copy of Tasha's Cauldron, so I wouldn't know either.
If you're in a regular D&D group, right?
Yeah.
It might be worth, it might be worth talking with the group and getting one person set up with a paid D&D Beyond account and then getting all the books. That's what I'm doing, because My buddy Rainer actually has all of them on D&D Beyond, and we just set up a fake campaign with him, and we all have access to the entire database basically because he has most of the books.
Nice.
So if you wanted to expand beyond just what's in the basic books, it's way cheaper to do it this way because
yeah. I was considering getting a D&D Beyond, if only to just keep easier track of all of my character sheets, because otherwise I just have them in a binder, and the binder is starting to overflow.
Yeah, I pretty much only use it to get access to all the stat information, but it gives you access to everything and you can search it. Like, it's really nice.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is have one person in your group who actually owns everything. And like, you guys can pool money to do that. And then you just say, we're in your campaign. I have a character sheet from your campaign. I can now officially look at everything you have.
Yeah. I will say some of my other players have some of those expanded books, so I'm not too hard pressed to go one direction or the other.
Fair. But yeah, it is
one of my players
option.
has Xanathar's, another one has Tasha's, so it's fine.
Yep. But yeah, it's been very helpful. Plus, you also get to they will work in some of the critical role things in there too. Like, I'm looking at Monk; they have Cobalt Soul Monk in here.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm really tempted to offer, if we hit so many backers in this Kickstarter campaign for Kay the Valkyrie, you unlock the character sheet so that you can play them in Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh. Would you make
I'm really tempted to offer that as like if we reach like 20 backers or something like that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Only 12 to go.
Yeah.
You can get there. You got a couple days.
Yeah, we got 4 days left. Back to the campaign. Get your hands on this sweet art and put it on your wall or put it on your friend's wall as a gift. We're in holiday shopping season after all.
This is true. Make Kelsey's life as difficult as possible. Force them to send out as much stuff around the holidays as they possibly can.
No, seriously, like,
please do.
Or order it so that like I can make my living. Like, I do not mind. I have the packing material to make this happen. This is okay. Yeah. Like, one of the reasons I am doing this campaign the way that it is because I have all of the materials on hand. Everything can be sent out as soon as the campaign wraps up. Like, that is not hard. But I'm also doing everything from home, either working with stock that I already have or printing it up myself. Because if there's any one thing that I'm contending with The Legend of Jamie Roberts Volume 1, it is that outside printers have been having a really craptastic year this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Admittedly, it's been better than the year before because, that was an absolute nightmare trying to get books made when, like, I remember talking to a friend who had worked in print houses before, and he's like, yeah, they're probably down to 2 people doing everything because it's the only way to social distance. And now it definitely has gotten better. Like, we had less than secret printed this year. It was manageable. Like, there wasn't crazy delays, but like right now there are crazy delays because holidays are coming up and everything gets delayed around then.
Yeah. Which, for folks who back The Legend of Jamie Roberts Volume 1 on Kickstarter, I am now waiting on factors outside of my control because I had to get reprints because the entire first print run had a printer error on one of the pages and it affected every single book in that first print run. So the printer said that he would send new and fixed volumes as soon as he could. He just backed up on some orders. So we'll see how quickly they come in.
There's a local printer in Columbus that I thought about using for letters too when I was working on that. And I was like, okay, he seems like a good guy. This, seems pretty reasonable. How long is it going to take? 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Thankfully, the printer that I work with, he's based in New York State. He generally has like a 1 month or less turnaround time. But
nice,
because of everything going on right now, it's just taking a little bit longer.
Yeah, that happens.
It happens. Yeah, and that's fine. I'm doing my best to give as much grace as I possibly can for stuff like this. Yeah. we are 5 minutes away from 4 o'clock. So I think we'll need to start wrapping this up soon.
Yep, that's fair. We've had a good 2-hour stream.
Yeah. We talked a lot. We diverged a lot.
Well, that's what happens on these streams. We can't
Yeah.
talk about a single image for a full 2 hours.
Well, and
we can, I guess.
Talking about the campaign and the add-ons that are available and all of that good stuff.
Yep.
And basically treating this Kickstarter campaign as like a flash sale.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's one reason I like doing these 7-day Kickstarter campaigns, is because you can treat them as a flash sale and be like, yes, pre-order this thing that is only available in this window of time.
I do love that concept. It also helps that Kickstarter is actually really good about advertising you. Like, it's amazing how much stuff tends to, like, every time I've done a Kickstarter, a surprising amount of it didn't come from our involvement at all. It came from people finding us on Kickstarter.
Yeah. Kickstarter's search engine is actually surprisingly good. Yeah.
If only Patreons were.
Yeah, I know. That's why I've been switching almost exclusively to Ko-fi. I only really use Patreon now as my main hub for Sticker of the Month Club.
Right.
Oh, that's actually one of the add-ons that's available for folks who back Kay the Valkyrie on Kickstarter. You have the option to select a 3-month or 6-month or 12-month subscription to the Sticker of the Month Club at a discounted rate. So Sticker of the Month, you get a new sticker each month. You get to vote on the designs, and you get the sticker and a personalized thank you card mailed to you each month. Sticker of the Month Club. Yeah. One of the other add-ons that are available on Kay the Valkyrie wall print Kickstarter is like a sticker bundle, which has all of the stickers that I did for past months of Sticker of the Month Club. Throwing that out there too. So you could get sticker bundles, Sticker of the Month Club subscriptions.
Sticker bundles?
Sticker bundles!
Sticker bundles!
You can also get mini comic bundles.
And print bundles, if I recall.
I have so many mini comics. I have a shoebox full of stickers and mini comics.
Nice.
They need new homes. Please get them as add-ons.
I wonder if maybe I should just do a short Kickstarter run to try and get, like, I made a 24-hour comic, and I've been debating printing that for when cons start up again. But I don't know. Maybe it's worth doing a Kickstarter around each run. We'll see. I'll focus on one thing at a time. I got to get Less Than Secret going. So
Less Than Secret. It's already done.
Selling it. I mean, we just got the store launch, so I'm working on that.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's what you've been plugging whenever I walk away from the screen.
I only did it once. The other time I was plugging the USPS because we were talking about shipping, and I'm like, support the USPS because otherwise we can't ship you stuff for less than like $10.
Yeah. Honestly, also just support the USPS because they're actually halfway decent.
Yeah, they're honestly very good service. People give them a lot of crap, but they, like in the words of Jon Stewart, you can write shit on a piece of paper and they'll put it on a plane for you.
Yeah. It's one of the nice things about them.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me, Ben. It has been a blast to have you on stream again.
Absolutely. It's always fun to stream with you guys. It's great.
And thank you all for watching. I've been plugging this multiple times. I will plug it once more. Check out Kay the Valkyrie on Kickstarter at tinyurl.com/KS-Valkyrie. And we have 4 days left. So the sooner that you can back this campaign, the sooner you can get those rewards.
That's right.
Sweet rewards.
And I think there was a little movement on it. I think someone got additional add-ons during the thing. I think it was I think it's gone up a little bit.
Ooh, I didn't even get a good look. I'll take a good look.
I want to say it was at 228 at the beginning, and it's at 238. So someone got an add-on.
Ooh, somebody did get an add-on. Well, thank you very much.
Positive movement.
Positive movement. That is a win.
Yes, it is.
That also just highly recommend if you're ever looking to run a Kickstarter campaign. Add-ons. They are the best.
Yeah.
I love
Add-ons
them
are
to
interesting. I'm
Yeah.
Yep.
Something to consider. Maybe we'll do a follow-up stream about how to run a 7-day Kickstarter campaign. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that this stream, but we just didn't get around to it.
Yeah.
But next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
Next time on Kelsey's stream.
Next time on Kelsey Z. Or whatever it is that you want to call it. All right.
Wait, no, we got to do the outro for it. It's like, will Kelsey talk about 7-day Kickstarters? Find out next time on Kelsey Z. Next time on Kelsey Z, Kelsey talks about 7-day Kickstarters.
I was trying to just keep up the poses while you were doing the narration voice. All right.
That's a fun voice.
It's a fun voice. It is. All right. Thank y'all for watching. And thank y'all for everybody who watched and backed the Kickstarter. Really appreciate it. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for tuning in. I hope that you check out the Kickstarter campaign, link at the bottom of the screen. Also in the doobly-doo. If you want to find out more about us, info about that, also in the doobly-doo. Thank you so much for watching. You are awesome. Bye.
Bye.